The next concept we want to illustrate are the purchase order and subcontract concepts. We go to AP vendor list. I'll go into All City Tile, and we have this PO Subcontract tab. Click refresh, and you'll see that I've got 3 commitments, and then each of those commitments have invoices submitted against them. First 2 commitments. Actually, the third one does not have an invoice submitted. So we're going to select one job. So we filtered by job, and we have 1 commitment. I'll double-click on the commitment, and it'll bring it up on the screen. So this particular commitment is a subcontract. And then we have 2 AP invoices associated with this commitment, a $2,000 invoice and a $465 invoice. I'll go to the Transactions tab, and I'll filter by the job as well. And you'll notice that there are 3 invoices assigned to this job. Only 2 of them are tied to a commitment, and the third one will not be tied to a commitment because it was not on that tab. Let's go over to the job notebook, and we'll look at one particular report to study our data. Billing Commitment Analysis Report. We're highlighting the golden job, and we'll click Print. This particular report has 2 sections. Your revenue section is at the top, and then you've got all the vendors and subs you've used on the job. We're focusing on All City Tile. We have a committed amount here. Here we have the balance on the commitments. And here we have AP not tied to commitments. And we have invoiced. So we're going to look at the dashboard report behind the 7,000, and it identifies the 7,000. It identifies the 2 AP invoices that are tied to the 7,000, and it shows the balance of 4535. So the same number we looked at before. 4535. I'm going to go back to the dashboard report and click on the Preview tab, and you'll notice that we've got the 4535 there. So let's say this is an exception. The 1,111 should have been tied to the AP invoice. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to this Transactions tab, and we're going to double-click on that invoice. And as long as the valid entry date range is open for this transaction date, we're within the valid entry date range, and as long as I have the rights under security to make the change, I can click on the PO subcontract and tie it to the purchase order. So now, if I go to the PO subcontract tab here and click refresh, you'll see that they're tied. I have 3,424 left. Refresh this report. When I hit the lightning bolt, I refresh the report against the database. I have 3,424 there. So 7,000. My 3 invoices, and my balance. If I click on this number, 3576, it shows that all 3 invoices show up in the column under costs on purchase orders and subcontracts, where before the 1,111 showed up in the cost not tied to the POs and subcontracts. Another concept with purchase orders and subcontracts is that on the job notebook we have this PO subcontract tab, and if I want to filter by a particular vendor or sub, I can do that. So you end up with the same tab, PO subcontract, in the job notebook as you have in the vendor notebook. In the vendor notebook we filter by job, and in the job notebook we filter by vendor. So a quick look at the PO subcontract concepts in the system.